Right. Greetings. I love Black people, and I'm your host, Sinclair Skinner. I'm just so happy today to have two amazing brothers who are doing innovations and are revolutionary. And one of them has been an amazing mentor of mine, and one has been a brother who's inspired me by his relentlessness, and his brilliance. And today we got good brother Lamar Wilson and brother Justin Rhedrick. Welcome, brothers. Welcome,
brother Sinclair. How you doing, man?
Well, Lamar, thank you, brother. Thank you. Look, I've been long talking. Look, Lamar said, "Harold, let's get this thing going." I apologize. Keep me on task, black man. Keep me on task. Humbly, thank you, Lamar.
No, but yeah, we glad to be on here, man. We glad to support you and support your show. Always a big time fan. You always say I'm your mentor, but bro, I definitely look up to you as well and all the things you're doing in the space, man. So I appreciate it. We came today because both of us are part of this group called the Black Bitcoin Billionaires. And right now during this month, we have a campaign going trying to get as many Black people with Bitcoin as we possibly can, and also to encourage them to get at least 1 million Satoshis. For everybody listening, you might not know, but a Satoshi is the smallest denomination of a Bitcoin. And we're focusing on Bitcoin for a very specific reason. And for that, I'll let Justin, Bitcoin Vegan Justin, say some more about that, man.
All right, thank you, Justin. Come on, brother. Thank you so much.
Okay, my bad. So yeah, I'm Justin, the Bitcoin Vegan, and our focus on Bitcoin, with particular Satoshi. One Satoshi is only less than almost 5/10 of a dollar. Bitcoin is something that you don't have to go chase other altcoins or chase other things for just because it's cheap. You can put any type of money you want on Bitcoin, and our focus is with Satoshi Millionaires. The whole entire Black community will be millionaires, number one. But more importantly, we can now start having our own storing power and spending power. $1 trillion spending power, 10% of that from our people in Bitcoin, which might end up most people having at least a million Satoshis, will start to turn out to $120 billion in Bitcoin. So when you start thinking of things on that level and look at the impact Elon made with $2.5 billion.
Well, I think that's awesome. I think the fact that you've been able to show that you can get a small amount, I think that's been one of the barriers that both of you have made a good point of. We got to make sure that no matter where we are, we can get a little piece of it. So just to be a millionaire now would be maybe an investment of about $500. Yep. And I think that's I think that's a key part of it. What can we get more of the listeners to get involved, and how can they actually learn more about the Black Bitcoin billionaires?
Yeah, so here's the thing. First of all, listen to Sinclair Skinner. Make sure you tune into this channel all the time, because that's definitely a Black Bitcoin billionaire coming. And then go to blackbitcoinbillionaire.com, right? You can sign up, and then when you get there, once you sign up, it'll send you back to the site. Go to the Satoshi Millionaire page, Satoshi Millionaire, and once you get there, you sign up, put your name in, get your cash tag. And I forgot to say this, we are definitely sponsored, and I ain't gonna say sponsored, we are partnering with Cash App, with Jack Dorsey and Cash App. They are down for the cause. They understand the importance of us building Black wealth. And so, yeah, we want to give them a shout out. But yeah, go to blackbitcoinbillionaire.com, go sign up, and keep listening to Brother Sinclair Skinner, because he loves Black people, and we do too, man.
All right. Well, thank you both. I think we can make it short and sweet. We want to have y'all back on, and we want to keep following you. We thank you for your inspirations, both of y'all. Technology, we got to leverage as much as we can and understand as much as we can. Thank you both for joining us. And again, as I say always, I am because we are. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you.
Today's episode of I Love Black People on Howard University's Radio Voices on Sirius XM 141 is brought to you by The Global Green Book, a Black survival guide. The Global Green Book 2020, the Healthcare Edition, which identifies Black-friendly and Black-owned healthcare providers worldwide. A Black survival guide highlighting places across the globe for Black people. The Global Green Book, available on Amazon and iloveblackpeople.com.
All right, and welcome again, everyone. I love Black people, and I'm your host, Sinclair Skinner. And we've been blessed today to really have a special guest that has made his way from the DMV all the way to the West Coast and all the way on the big screen doing big things, and really doing it as it relates to something that's very near and dear to us, our Black agenda. It's really a movie that's really been taking the world by storm. And to be able to have and see so many of our images on film is always something flattering. But for it to be something that's so relevant and so poignant in today's environment about Black empowerment, we definitely got a wonderful guest, Brother Darrell Britt-Gibson. Thank you so much for joining us on I Love Black People.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sinclair. The pleasure is all mine. I'm happy to be here.
Well, good. Look, just get into it. This is a big deal. Again, we don't often see organizations like the Black Panthers, and in particular leaders that have sacrificed, like Brother Hampton. And tell me a little bit about your journey. Like, what did it take to, what made you pick this movie? What was that process? And then what did it take for you to really get your character?
I was blessed to have this role and this opportunity find me. I worked with Shaka King, our incredible visionary director, on a project a couple years prior. And I remember him coming out to LA, and we had a dinner, and we're speaking about something that I was trying to get him to direct for me, because he's so incredible, and he couldn't do it because he was speaking about how he was working on this thing. He couldn't really talk too much about it, but he said that he really needs me to be a part of it. And I was like, cool. And then, a year or so passed, and I remember hearing that Daniel and Keith were going to be starring in the film. And I just remember thinking, that's the coolest thing ever. So I sent a text message to Shaka, just like, yo, this is amazing. You got two of the supernovas in it, and he texted me back like, hey, I'm so excited. I still need you for it. And I was like, look, this isn't about that. I'm just happy that this story is going to be told by somebody as incredible as you, with these two incredibly, ridiculously talented individuals. And so I was actually in New York celebrating the series finale of the show Power that I was on. And I got the phone call that, hey, we the offer's in. They want you to be playing, Mr. Bobby Rush. And whatever else my representation said, I didn't hear it, because the minute I heard that I was being offered the opportunity to play Mr. Rush, that's all I needed to hear. And I was like, tell me where to go, when I need to be there. And I immediately that night started, doing my dive into Mr. Bobby Rush and his involvement into the Panther Party, in which, I always say how, my education of the Panther Party was all because of my beautiful parents. Because if it was left up to the education system, I wouldn't know anything about the Panther Party, because they have been scrubbed from our textbooks, and it is by design, and it is a travesty. It is unfortunate, but I'm hoping that a film like this can sort of start to reverse that course, because what the Panthers did, they don't need a section in a textbook. They need 18 of their own textbooks. They need to be given to students every single day. So yeah, that's sort of how my involvement came to be in this incredible piece of work. Black people are not a monolith, but we are sort of presented as such in Hollywood oftentimes. So it can be difficult sort of navigating the waters of finding the thing that represent us in all of our beauty and our light and our love and our empathy and everything that we are. So when something like this does come, presents itself to you, you do not hesitate for a second, understanding the magnitude of what we are about to, partake in, and understanding the legacy of these women and these men who allowed me to be here to have this conversation with you. And so, it can be very difficult, and it can be disheartening, but it's also motivational, because it's like, it just makes you work harder every day, because you're like, I'm here for a reason, and being a vessel that is going to be able to sort of like put out into the world to cast that net of who we are as a people. The importance of it, you just fight harder, because it's never about me. It's about the generation coming up after me, right? Because I want to make sure that they have the space to create the stuff to show us in all of our light. I say oftentimes that Hollywood loves us for our trauma, and I say that Hollywood needs to love us for our everything. you know,
Go ahead.
because we are everything. And we, you know, who we are as a people encompasses everything. And so you don't get to just love us for, you know, our trauma. You need to love us, respect us, and absorb us for our everything, because we are everything. Just showing up, continuing to show up, you know, and it is something that we as Black people do so beautifully, you know, when it comes to, I mean, we put out a movie and it's always, there's always this thing where like, in the industry, there will be a thing called box office expectations, right?
Okay.
And so Black films will always receive, you know, more often than not, less screens, right? So the box office expectation will be lower because they'll say, well, you know, it has 1,500 screens, so it'll probably make, you know, $11 million. And then the film comes out and it makes 25 million first weekend. And the analysts are like, wow, this is crazy. We didn't see that coming. And I'm the least surprised person in whenever that happens, because I know how we show up for each other. And that's what it is. It's about us continuing to show up, because eventually Hollywood will wake up and say, oh, wow, like we do show up for each other. So it's really about, you know, showing up and more than just showing up, spreading the word, you know, because a film comes out, you know, Judas and the Black Messiah came out February 12th, right? And today is the 18th. And it can't be, I think, sort of in we get caught in this world of like, you know, opening weekend and then we're on to the next thing. And so it's about the consistency of it. You know, it's about staying in the water of it. And it's about keeping that conversation alive so that, you know, the next weekend, you know, more people, you know, have seen it than maybe they even start on the first weekend. Right. So then, and then, because that's what it is, it's the conversation. And so if we keep having the conversation, the important conversations about the art that we're putting out, you know, for our people, which ultimately is for everybody. This film is a film for everybody, you know, and that is how we sort of recirculate sort of the energy around it and keeping that conversation alive. So I took a long road to get to the shortest answer I could, but you know, it's showing up, you know, showing out and keeping the conversation alive. I probably never will look at the singular work of myself in this film, because it is so much bigger than any one person. And it encompasses so much, and it is so important for everybody to see. And I really do hope that people are able to take from this sort of that like Chairman said, there's power wherever there's people, you know, and the strength of and how much more powerful we are together, you know. We're so beautiful. We're so strong. We have endured so much as people and continue to endure so much as people. Yet we are still here, you know, and we are still us. And so I really do hope that people take from this body of work, sort of the fight that you know, in the unity that Chairman and the Panthers, you know, put their lives on the line for. You know, I really do hope that people see. And also I really do hope that, you know, people, you know, that younger people really do know. I mean, they were, you know, he was 21 years old when he was assassinated, you know, and they were young when they were in these streets every day, putting their life on the line.
Did you know? Because and then when I looked and saw William O'Neill was 17 when I let me say, this is how powerful y'all are. Because I started doing research because of the movie. Like I thought, you know, I'm a Pan-African. I thought I knew Fred Hampton, boom, boom, his son. But when you start peeling back these layers about that COINTELPRO, like literally coming to a 17-year-old kid asking political questions. You 17. I have to have some 17-year-olds who don't really know who Jay-Z is anymore. Like, I mean, time goes by. They hitting this kid up at 17 talking about, why don't you just go do this at 7? Like the government is so engaged with 17-year-olds. Like, really? Like, wow. Was that, were there any like wow moments, like when you like, okay, on the surface, I'm power to the people, but then when you peel back some onions, was there anything in there you was like, wow?
I mean, I'm so much of it, Sinclair, was like, I mean, everything that I learned, it was like relearning it. Just because of, you know, you think of everything that, you know, Chairman and the party in general accomplished in the face of adversity, in the face of, you know, waking up every day being hunted by one of the largest government agencies in the entire world. And to never back down, to never cower, to never lose sight of the bigger picture, to be steadfast in the belief and the knowledge of that we are stronger together. I think it was when you do all of this research, and it's every time you get to the age, it's where I'm like, it stops me every single time, because you just think about, like, what was I doing at 21? What are most people doing at 21? And it, but just the power that I think that it's the age of, but to be able to accomplish that so much, because that's why I hope it's a film that does empower, younger kids, because I think there is this misconception, that society has placed on age, and in the sense that, like, you have to become a certain age to make an impact in the world and in your community, right? And if you start making an impact in your community, that's how you change the world, right? Because it starts in your community. And so I really do want, if you're 16, you're being this past summer, I was at, I went to a bunch of marches, a bunch of protests. And the thing that made my heart so big was seeing not just, how the different races of people out there. It was the ages that would go, it was a 5-year-old out there with their parent, and an 80-year-old. But it was like, you look at that 5-year-old and you're like, you're seeing something that like you can be the change. Understand that you're going to be the one who changes the world, right? Like that, you can change the world. And there is no age at which that is a thing. But we have been taught that, like, well, you have to be, this age to drive, this age to drink, this age to vote, right. This age, you know what I mean? The society has told you that you have to be a certain age to do certain things, But the one thing society can't put an age on is how old I have to be. I can be to change the world. And I really do hope that young people take from that and really continue their fight, and know that, like, you have people who are rooting you on, and, like, hoping that I get to be an ally to some of these young queens and these kings who are eventually going to change the world. I mean, I think an easy parallel that we can draw between 1969 and 2020 is that, 52 years ago, Chairman Fred Hampton was assassinated in his apartment, minding his own business, asleep in his bed. And just last year, Breonna Taylor was assassinated in her apartment, in her sleep, minding her own business. And in both cases, there was no justice served. So when we talk about a parallel, I don't even have to look. I can look to last March and see that parallel. I don't have to look far at all. And so we talk about progress, and yes, we have made progress. But when I look at that, I say, how much progress have we really made?
Because you didn't drop the jewels and gems, like, enriched.
I first of all, I say to you, Sinclair, thank you for doing what you're doing, for creating this outreach, this platform for a conversation like this to take place. I genuinely appreciate you, and I see you, and I thank you, for having me on your platform. And to anybody listening, I would just say to any young Black queen and young Black king listening to this, I would just say that never forget how powerful you are. Never forget how beautiful you are. Never forget how necessary you are. How much we need you. I'd say I think I speak a lot about this idea about how Black people are sort of, society will tell you that we are to leave our crowns at home, right? We take our crown off at home because when we step outside, our crown could be threatening to people who might not be wearing one. And I just hope that Black people understand to never, ever take your crown off. Never apologize for who you are. Keep being the most beautifully strong, passionate, empathetic, loving person and royalty that you are, because we need you. You are needed. If you ever feel that you are not needed, hear my voice and me telling you that you are needed. Hear my words telling me that I love you, and that, we are a better place because of you. Keep being strong. Never take your foot off the gas, and you know what I'm saying, spread the word and spread peace and love, because that's ultimately what we need, and that's ultimately what's going to heal this world.
Man, hallelujah. They say that's the highest praise, bro. Thank you. And again, thank you for your work in this movie. Thank you for your whole body of work, and may
thank
you
you for having me,
man, to keep blessing us with your craft and with your talents, bro. We need to keep it moving and keep it going and growing. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart.
Man, with the crown on, I want to put some on my head. Bro, that was his stuff, man.
Hey,
and we gotta get you
got that crown on you.
So, bro, humbly, bro, some of it fell off with the age, but
nah,
you
got that crown. I see that crown, Sinclair. Don't you ever take it off. That's all I ask, brother. Please don't take it off.
But we got to get you around the world with this. This was tough, bro. Thank you.
Oh, man. Again, thank you for having me.
Please continue your work, Brian. Is there any way they can reach out to you, bro, Darrell? Anyway, if they want to follow you more and get some more?
Yeah. My Instagram is at ChipSheridan. It's at Chip Sheridan. Keep doing the work, man. I'm humbly in your presence right now. So I thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. And again, there you go. For I Love Black People. Remember, y'all, I am because we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sinclair.
And now an update from reparations activist Dreesen Heath.
Thank you so much, Brother Sinclair. We had an exciting week last week for the reparations movement, probably the most monumental yet in these last several months post the summer and fall uprisings against police violence and racial injustice. And on this past Wednesday, February 17th, the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties held a hearing on H.R. 40, the bill to investigate the legacy of slavery and come up with repair proposals. We are very thankful to Congresswoman Jackson Lee for her leadership, and also to Chairman Jerry Nadler and Chair Steve Cohen for their collaboration and leadership on racial justice measures, specifically on H.R. 40 and the pathway to reparative justice. This hearings panel included California Secretary of State Shirley Weber, first Black woman to ever hold the position, and also the bill sponsor of AB 3121 when she was in the California Assembly. AB 3121 is an HR 40 style commission, but at the state level in California. They modeled their bill after HR 40, and Governor Newsom last year signed that bill into law, so that panel will begin its work soon. The hearings panel also featured the brilliant Cam Howard of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, and the brilliant Professor Tunde Achuame, UN Special Independent Expert on Racism. Both made compelling arguments in defense of victims' rights and the international human rights law standard of full and effective reparations, which is a legal standing the U.S. should adhere to. The panel also included Hillary Shelton of the NAACP and myself representing Human Rights Watch, detailing the present-day impacts of enslavement and post-emancipation racist government policies and institutions that have been designed to further oppress and dehumanize Black people today. We were also joined and honored to be joined by Kathy Masoka of Nikkei Progressives, who made a compelling argument about why Japanese Americans who did receive compensation, education benefits, and pardons in 1988 through the Civil Liberties Act for being forcibly interned and relocated by the federal government during World War II should support reparations for Black people in the U.S. Kathy argued that they're the right thing to do, and we've done it before. And I think she was totally right. We were also joined by former NFL player Herschel Walker and conservative talk show host Larry Elder. What was made very clear during that hearing is that trauma shows up in the descendants of enslaved Africans in many ways. And it is very clear that we need trauma-informed care for the intergenerational impacts of slavery and mental health consequences of navigating racism, in addition to whatever forms are necessary of reparation that equal the proportionality of centuries of harm. So that's financial compensation, official apologies by the government, and other non-state actors, return of artifacts and property, legal and institutional reform, among other remedies. On the same day of the hearing, the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki went on record, the first time publicly since President Biden and Vice President Harris took office, confirming, as indicated in Biden's Lift Every Voice plan for Black America, that he supports H.R. 40 and the study of reparations proposals for people of African descent in the U.S. So we're very excited to see the White House finally publicly announced their support in this year, and we're looking forward to their commitment to the legislative process and seeing this through. Within 24 hours of the hearing, Rep. Lou Correa of California and Representative Deborah Ross of North Carolina signed on as co-sponsors of the bill, bringing us to 167 co-sponsors in total. They both sit on the House Judiciary Committee and are must votes for the bill to pass out of the House Judiciary Committee, which is the next step for the bill. So we thank them for their support and glad to see they were compelled by the hearing. And then we urge Congresswoman Lucy McBath of Georgia and Congressman Greg Stanton of Arizona, as well as the Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee, to co-sponsor this week. You can make a call to the Capitol switchboard at 202-224-3121 and urge the remaining Judiciary Committee members to co-sponsor the bill ahead of the vote.
Today's episode of I Love Black People on Howard University's Radio Voices on Sirius XM 141 is brought to you by The Global Green Book, a Black survival guide. The Global Green Book 2020, the Healthcare Edition, which identifies Black-friendly and Black-owned healthcare providers worldwide. A Black survival guide highlighting places across the globe for Black people. The Global Green Book, available on Amazon and iloveblackpeople.com. Special thanks to Banneker Communities.